Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a mid-month reading check-in. Okay, so I mentioned when I did my January wrap-up, that I was considering doing mid-month wrap-ups because I've just been reading a lot, and I figured if I do mid-month wrap-ups, the videos will be shorter. Let me know what you guys prefer. Do you guys prefer it all in one big long video? Do you prefer it in, smaller segments throughout the month? Let me know what works for you. I am happy to do whatever. But for this month, I figured I would do a little bit of a check-in, let you know what I've read so far this month, what I'm currently reading, that sort of thing. So let's get into this. All right, so the first book that I read in February was an audiobook that I listened to actually while I was sick. A lot of you guys know that we were sick right at the beginning of the month. The whole family was. And so this is the audiobook that I listened to while I was working on a puzzle. I took that opportunity to work on a 2,000-piece puzzle. It was my first one, and it was intense. But I took that time also to listen to this book, and it is Heard It in a Love Song by Tracy Garvis Graves. I really liked this story. So this is a story about, I'm going to look up the main characters' names because you guys all know I cannot remember names. Josh and Layla. It's a romance-ish, but it's more about their past relationships. So both of them are recently divorced. And she is like an elementary school music teacher, and he's an electrician, I think. And both of them have had failed marriages, and then she starts teaching his daughter. They meet at like parent drop-off, school drop-off sort of thing, and get to talking. And it really, there's a lot of flashbacks, dual perspective on both of their parts, on what happened in their previous relationships, what caused them to fail, them meeting and being respectful of the fact that they're recently out of relationships and what that's going to look like moving forward. He has a kid, obviously. And I really liked it because it gave me an appreciation and a perspective on my own marriage. And what, like one of the marriages was just outright a bad relationship from the start, and the other one, they loved each other. It was great. It just disintegrated. And it kind of goes through the perspectives on why and what actions led that to happen. And it just kind of put me on alert, like, make sure you don't do this sort of thing. And I really like that. I thought that the relationship between Josh and Layla was very healthy, and I really appreciated that. It wasn't smutty at all. It was more of a deep, thoughtful romance. It wasn't like a contemporary, fun rom-com. And I really liked it. I thought it was really good. So I gave that one 3 stars, I believe, only because I like the themes of it, but it's not one that I'm probably going to remember for a great long while. So that was the first book that I read. The second book that I read was Anne of West Philly. This is by Ivy Noel Weir. This is actually a copy that was sent to me by the publisher, so thank you so much. I think it's Little Brown Books, I'm making sure. Yeah, Little Brown and Company. They sent me this so kindly. Oh my goodness, I was so excited when I got it. And this is coming out March 1st. So this is an advanced copy that I read, and it was good, not great. I was so hyped for this because I loved the Secret Garden graphic retelling that I read last year. This is a modern graphic retelling of Anne of Green Gables. So Anne of West Philly, and Anne is a foster kid who goes to live with oh my goodness, Matthew and Marilla, who are brother and sister, just like in the original one. They're brother and sister, and they're fostering her. And she's now going to this school. It has Diana in it. It has Gilbert in it. And I thought, like I said, I thought it was good. It wasn't great. It didn't capture the spunkiness of Anne that you get in the original, and just the imagination, and like you were getting that right at the beginning, how bubbly she is and talkative, and wanting to rename everything, and just like, and you got that in like the first 10th of the book, and then she was kind of angry for a lot of it. And there were certain aspects of the book that were redone in this that I liked, like the dress with the puffy, the puff sleeve dress, and when she dyes her hair and messes up her hair, and like all of those were in here but twisted, right? And so I like that they included a lot of the aspects of the original book, but it just didn't have the fun and the joyfulness that you get with the original. And that's what I was really, really missing from this. It's so sad, but it was still really good. I would still, like, recommend it to read. It just didn't quite capture the same essence as the original. So that one got 3 stars as well. All right. And then I listened to All You Need Is Love by Tanya Guerrero. This is the book that I opened that Kim from Bookmarks and Breadsticks, she is now doing a blind date with a book. Middle grade. She does that for her company anyway, blind date with a book, and they're all food related books. And now she has a middle grade option. And so she sent me this to like help promote that, which I'm so happy to do because I'm so excited for her. And I had seen this, but it hadn't really sparked my interest too much. I didn't really know a whole lot about it. And so I read it and I loved this book. Like, I was so shocked at how much I love this book. This book follows, what's her name, Alba, who is being sent to live with her estranged kind of grandmother in Barcelona. She has stuff going on at home between her mom and dad, and she has been acting out a little bit, and so her mom decides to send her to Barcelona to live with her grandmother, who she doesn't ever really remember talking to. And so she is now in this new city. She doesn't speak Spanish. She's kind of learning the ropes a little bit. She feels very unwanted in every aspect of her life. And then she runs across this bakery, and the man that owns the bakery kind of takes her under his wing and teaches her how to make bread. And she just comes to life in the bakery and learns all the ins and outs of making bread. You get a lot of details about bread making and gluten and all the yeast and kneading the dough and why you do the things you do. Like, there was so much bread information in this that I loved. I thought it was amazing, but at the same time she like finds herself healing through the process as well. And I love the setting of Barcelona. I love the bread making. I loved Alba as a main character. Like, she was fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a shock because I had never really felt the desire to pick this up, and yeah, it was great. I also read this for Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf challenge for February. The challenge for February was to read a book with love in the title, I think. And so this has love in the title, and so it worked for that too. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. All right, and then my other middle grade book that I have read so far was a buddy read with one of my subscribers, and I read Orange for the Sunsets by Tina Athade, I think that's how you say her last name. This was so good. This is a historical fiction. It's set in 1970, I'm going to look it up, 72 in Uganda, and it deals with the president at the time, President Amin. He makes a declaration to expel all of the Indians from Uganda. So what happened was, during the British Empire, Britain took over Uganda and built all these trains and stuff through there and like built up the economy, and they brought Indians in from India in to do a lot of the work and to build up the economy and stuff. And then once the British left, the Indians stayed, and when the British were there, they kind of formed this caste systems where it was like the British and then the Indians and then the Africans. Well, then when the British left, the Indians were still on top and then the Africans. Well, President Amin takes over and says, nope, Indians are out. We're giving Africa back to the Africans. You all got to go. And so this follows 2 friends. What are their names? Asha and Yusofu. And Asha is Indian and Yusofu is African. And it talks about their friendship and how they handled this. And like, when the announcement was first made, both of them thought, well, surely my friend will see my perspective and understand that this is good for me or this isn't good for me, and they will empathize with me. And they both thought that, and they were both disappointed because they felt like their friend didn't understand them. And so it really gets into cultural divides between friends sometimes, and how you can still be friends even when your culture tries to divide you. And it was so good. There was a lot of nuance in this book on friendship and what's right and what's wrong, and was what President Amin did right or wrong. And it talks about how it affects the school and their parents, and I guess the author's family what was Indian or is Indian, and left Uganda shortly prior to when this had happened, but they had a lot of family and friends that were directly affected by this. And so she wrote this book kind of as a result of hearing all of the family stories. And so a lot of this was based off of things that happened to her family and friends and things like that. And so anyway, it was fantastic. Highly recommend, and something in history that I had never heard of before. Had no idea that that had ever happened. So, all right. Then I listened to another romance. I listened to The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. This I think was in my most anticipated releases of the month. But this follows, I'm looking up names. Katrina and Nathan. They are a writing duo who sold like a bestseller. It would, went wild. There's a movie option for it, all this stuff. And when they sold, or when they were under contract with the publisher contracted them for 2 books. So this book and the next book. Well, something happened when they were writing their bestseller and they broke up. And I mean, they weren't a couple, but they're like, the writing duo broke up. They haven't talked in 4 years. They have no desire to write the next book, nothing. Well, things happen and they end up getting together to write the book again. And they're staying in this house in Florida together. And it's just about them writing this book, even though they don't want to be there together. And so you're finding out like what happened in the past and what happened in the present, and like why they broke up and how they're making things work now and all of that. I gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. I thought it was a little predictable. Like when you find out what happened in the past, you're like, well, duh. Like, how did you not see that coming? But I enjoyed it. I was there for the ride. It was fine. It wasn't anything memorable. That's all I'm gonna say. I really don't have anything else to say about it. And then the most recent book that I finished is Rachel Ryan's Resolutions. This is a debut novel by Laura Starkey that I got from NetGalley, but it's out now. This is probably one of my favorite romance books I have ever read. Like, ever. It was so good, and it is just one of those no-name books. Like, even when I went to look it up on Amazon, you couldn't find it. I had to like Google it and then get into a website and then hit purchase, and then it would take me to that. Like, it was, I'm linking it below so you can find it, but it took a while for me to be able to find it. You just can't find it, and I don't know if it's self-published or what the deal was, but this book was so good. I'm doubting it was self-published if it was on NetGalley, now that I'm saying that. I don't know. It was, okay, so it's set in London, and it follows Rachel, who went through a really, really bad breakup in college, and now, current day, she has set, like, it starts in January with her making New Year's resolutions. These are the resolutions I'm going to make to make my year better. And then she goes to work and finds out that a company is taking over for her, and her ex is, or merging, her company is merging with another company, and her ex is one of the people that she's going to be working with moving forward. And this has to do with like a really good core group of friends, like her roommate, her best friend, and her best friend's boyfriend, or her best friend's boy, yeah, like they're like a really close friend group. And so you get that, you get the like tension of her working with her ex again and what that looks like. She like had recently broken up with a guy, and he's like kind of crazy, and so you get like that perspective. She has a strained relationship with her parents. There's a lot of moving parts in this, but it was one of the most realistic romance books I've ever read, because like the tension that are between like different people, like her and her friend get in a fight, and then her, her and the tension with this guy that from college, it was so, I'm like, yep, that's exactly how it is. like I've been in that situation and that's exactly how I felt. Or this was, you know, when my friend and I got in a fight and this is exactly what we said to each other. It was just so good and I loved it and it made my heart happy. Like the ending, I was like melting and it was so good. I want everybody to read this because nobody has ever heard of it and I just want everybody to read it. So go buy it and read it and tell me if you loved it or not because I loved it so much. So anyway, that is, hi. I love you. Okay. Lipstick kiss.
Nope.
Yep.
You're just joking.
I was not just joking. So that was the most recent book that I finished. And then I am in the middle of 3 books. So the first of which is a buddy read that I started with Gloria. We are reading The Last Green Valley by Mark Sullivan. I am this far into it, so not very far into it. I'm enjoying it so far. The writing is very similar to Beneath the Scarlet Sky, which I read last month. So it'll be interesting to see like where this goes. But I'm interested. The other one that I am currently reading is Isabel Allende's In the Midst of Winter. This is one that Krista from Books and Jams gave me for Christmas. And this is more literary than I typically would read, but I'm still enjoying it and hoping to finish it yet this month. And then the last one that I just started this morning is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I am buddy reading this with Karina over from Karina, What Brings Karina Joy. She had mentioned wanting to read this soon, and so I picked this up this morning. I'm going to read this with her over the next couple of weeks, and I'm very excited about this. I need something like easy and happy, and this is the answer to that. So that is what I'm currently reading. That's what I've read so far this month. Let me know how your February is going. What have you read so far? What are you looking forward to reading? All of those things. Have you read any of these books? Let me know what you think about them as well. And that's going to do it for today. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.